Welcome, y'all, to our new podcast YouTube channel. We'll see where it goes. It's called Southern Takes. We're glad to have you. We're just three dudes talking about college football. It's one of the things we love to do, and we know a lot of y'all do too. I'm your host, Reese Blackston. These are my co-hosts, Bubba Joyner and Tanner Griffith. We got a Vols fan, Dogs fan, and a Noles fan. If there's any way we can make the show better for you, then let us know in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe, share if you can. Anything you do is greatly appreciated, and we're glad to have you. Glad to be doing this. Is something that we've all wanted to do for a long time, and we're finally getting to do it. It feels good. So yeah, we're halfway through college football season. We were just getting here in August. We were hoping it would come by faster, and now we're just wishing it would slow down. How are we feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Being a Georgia fan, we've had a lot of ups and a lot of downs this year. We've been at the top. And even though we really haven't lost a game, it still has felt like we've been at the bottom before. So it's just one of those things. We'll see where the season takes us. Everything's looking good right now. I think we just got to continue to play good football and just see what happens.
You know, as a Noles fan, it's a rough life the last 9 years, we'll say. We'll say 9 years. We came out of the gates hot. 4-0, everybody's feeling good. Next thing you know, we play Wake at home, we get down big and we make it close. Go to NC State, we're in field goal range, just need a field goal to win the game, and we throw a pick with 30 seconds left. And then we come home to play Clemson. Down 20 points, getting our butt whooped. And then we bring it back to 6. And that's where we are. 4-3.
If I'm a Florida State fan, I mean, obviously, as you said, y'all have been really inconsistent, but you definitely have a lot to be positive about, plenty that you can see from each game where you can say, okay, our team is making progress, because you haven't been dead in the water, really, in any of your games.
No, we haven't gotten blown out. I mean, we've made progress in every game. Last year we lost to Wake by over 21 points, and this year we lose by 10. I mean,
Closing the gap a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how are y'all feeling about that new AP poll? I know the new one just dropped. I know we are a little less than a week now from the College Football Committee dropping their first playoff rankings. We know how that usually goes. Usually they shock us a little bit. What do y'all think? Y'all think it's going to be somewhat like the AP poll, or you think they're going to put one on us?
Oh, I think they're going to drop one on us. I know my Tennessee guy over there is going to like where I'm going with this. But there's a big if to this. There's a big if. If Tennessee beats Kentucky this weekend, I firmly believe the Vols will be ranked number 1 come Tuesday night at 7:30.
Okay. Sounds really good.
You think that even if Georgia wins pretty handedly in Gainesville?
Georgia can win by 40 in
Jacksonville?
Jacksonville, yes, against the Gators. And Tennessee will be ranked number 1. The
committee
committee likes to do their own thing.
Yeah. That's true. I think they put a lot of emphasis on that. They're going to do what they want to do. So, and we all know how the AP poll can be sometimes.
And I think one of the biggest things that the College Football Playoff Committee likes to work on is a team's strength of schedule and their resume, how they've done throughout the year, who they've played. And I think Tennessee, I mean, right now the only teams that are 4-0 against ranked opponents in the country are Tennessee and TCU.
Yeah.
TCU right now is 7th in the AP poll. They got Tennessee at 3rd in the AP poll. We'll go through the rankings here in a second. But I do think that Tennessee has a legitimate shot. Each team in the top 3, in my opinion, Georgia, Ohio State, and Tennessee, each has their case to be number 1. We'll see where the CFP decides to put each one. But Tennessee, in my opinion, they have the best resume in the country. If they beat Kentucky, which they can't look ahead to Georgia, big week next week, but if they beat Kentucky, then I see them as a legit number 1 because they've beat Pitt on the road. They were ranked at the time. Then they beat Florida at home. Then they destroyed LSU on the road.
Most impressive win on the resume.
Yeah, and it looks even more impressive now after what LSU did to Ole Miss last week.
Yes, it does, for sure.
And then, obviously, one of the greatest games I've ever seen, the Tennessee-Alabama game. They take down Bama at home. So they've got 4 ranked wins under their belt, and they could make it 5 if they get another conference win against Kentucky at home. So I'm feeling really good about the Vols. So we'll see. We'll see what happens next week with the rankings. I think I like, as far as the AP poll is concerned, I like Georgia at number 1 for now because they've, aside from I believe, when they beat Missouri 26-22.
Kent State, we looked a little shaky too, back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, they've looked solid, and you can't really take away from what they've done this year. Them or Ohio State have both played well enough to where I don't think that Tennessee necessarily deserves to take that number one spot from them. But we'll see. We'll see how the committee thinks about them. I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Well, while we're on the teams, I definitely would think that we need to talk about LSU a little bit and everything that they have done from the beginning of the season of getting absolutely stomped on in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
LSU got absolutely curb stomped.
Smoky Grays on the Bayou.
Yeah.
Let's not forget about week 1 where my Noles took them down in New Orleans.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the ugliest games in college football history.
The Noles should have won by 17 points.
They found a way to win. No. Noles found a way to win. Oh, that was such an ugly game. Entertaining, but,
Yeah, LSU's a team that has been at the lowest of lows and has been at the highest of highs. And I think that they are a team to honestly look out for. So, right now they're tied for number 1 in the West, and I think that they're a contender.
Yeah, we'll see. And that game in 2 weeks where they host Alabama is going to be the game that decides who wins the West. So, you can't count them out, that's for sure. It'll be really exciting there in Death Valley.
I agree.
It's going to be really interesting 2 weeks. You got a night game in Death Valley. You got Nick Saban and Alabama coming in. But we're talking about the West. Let's go ahead and get it out of the way, guys. Let's go ahead and get it out of the way. Let's talk about Jimbo Fisher and the Texas A&M Aggies.
Yeah, that's obviously a hot topic right now. Texas A&M, man. App State, South Carolina, all these 5 stars, as we've all kind of talked about before. You can't buy wins. You can't buy a national championship.
Can't buy wins.
What does Texas A&M got to worry about over there? I feel like, they got the guys. So what's going on in that room?
They have the guys. Jimbo, we're talking to a Florida State fan. He won a title there. I think that upped his stock, made A&M really want to pay him a lot of money. But if we're being real, A&M, in my opinion, they just counted their chickens before they hatched. They should have let him figure it out, and then maybe if he does well, then give him the contract. But now they are stuck, they got years and years and years of buyout in front of them, and they just can't. They're just locked with Jimbo Fisher no matter what he does.
Yeah, I got the list right here through 2030. They fired Jimbo right now. It's $86 million to him. Next year, it's $76 million, and it basically goes down to around, give or take, a few $100,000, $10 million through 2030. That's a long commitment to a guy that's 3-4 right now.
Sub 500.
Sub 500. Just had the number 1 recruiting class. Somebody who, has recruited well in his head coaching career overall.
It might be safe to say, which we never thought this would have happened. A&M was coming in at number 6 in the preseason AP poll.
Yeah, I think it was number 6. Yeah.
Who was it? Somebody picked them to be in the playoff.
It was your
Desmond
boy
Howard.
Desmond Howard.
He picked Pitt too.
Wow.
One of the worst predictions I've ever
He needs
seen.
to stop predicting.
I like Desmond Howard, but I wonder what was going through his head there.
Yeah.
When he predicts things on game day and he picks the Noles in the games, I'm like, gosh, we're going to lose this week.
Yep. Well, I think A&M fans might be missing Kevin Sublin right now.
Yeah.
Which is hard to believe.
Earlier this year, through the first 50 games that they both coached at A&M, they had the exact same record.
Exact same.
That's a very scary thing when you were talking about the amount of millions that you were paying somebody to supposedly get your program over the next step. And I think that's a natural thing that we're seeing in college football today is we see all these coaches getting these upfront contracts, and they're not anything small. Kirby Smart just now got his deal this year, and that's what? We're in 2022. Mm-hmm. So he's been there 5-6 years. Mm-hmm. They've seen what he's done. I would say he's been pretty consistent. But you got people like Brian Kelly at LSU getting a pretty big deal. You got Jimbo Fisher. I can understand Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney, those guys. They have been there. They've built the programs. They have kind of molded them into what they are right now. And, I mean, if we're being honest, those two programs are national championship contending teams. So I feel like sometimes teams and I guess administration or, athletic directors, they should take a step back and see a little bit more. Like, I hate to say this too, but even for Tennessee, I would want to see Josh Heupel a little bit longer and just see what he can do and see this. Make sure this isn't a one-off thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if I'm the athletic director, Danny White at Tennessee, I'm really, if that is what they decide to do and kind of hold out for the big money and wait and see what he does, they got to closely monitor what other schools are offering him and make sure we keep him at all costs. We need him. The players love him. He loves the players. The culture's great. So the money, yeah, I agree. He doesn't deserve the big bag quite yet. But at some point, teams are going to want to try to come and get him. So we'll find out what happens there. But yeah, I do think, and as a Tennessee fan, I mean, we were paying Butch Jones millions while he was giving Nick Saban water bottles as his little assistant or whatever. So that was kind of a pain. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Hey, at least you're not the New York Mets.
Yeah.
So.
Or look at a team.
The Mets stink.
Look at a team like Florida though. They've been paying coaches outright for years on years.
I think it's over the last 7 to 10 years, it's been over $100 million in buyouts.
I mean, what do you do? I don't get where the money's coming from. I mean, that's a lot of money to pay.
Especially in that crap hole down in Gainesville.
I mean, seriously. I mean, I don't understand where these guys or where these, I guess, athletic directors and all this. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was a firm believer. If we're talking about Florida just for a second, I was a firm believer in Dan Mullen when he first got there. I thought Dan Mullen was going to do pretty good.
I mean,
but it became very apparent very quickly.
Oh yeah, it was a
things weren't going to work out there.
Yeah, and the contract. That's kind of the topic we're on. I mean, that contract that you got, Dan Mullen is getting paid by Florida right now, probably sitting behind the booth with the guys, just being an analyst, looking at the games.
Yeah.
And so, I think he was even a head coach or a coach for some team, a high school team.
Maybe
at some point.
Was. Yeah, he was like an offensive coordinator or something.
Yeah, so I mean, the guy
came to be the head coach at the high school.
Yeah, the guy a year later was literally an analyst, and then he was a head football or offensive coordinator at a high school team.
And don't get me wrong, I think Dan Mullen's a good coach.
I do too.
I do.
He's a great offensive
I don't
mind.
think he's fit for the college game.
No.
I really don't.
I do like Dan Mullen though. I like him on when he does all of his analysis.
Oh, I love Dan Mullen because he doesn't win.
We wanted, all three of us wanted him to stay at Florida.
Oh, we wanted to stay as long as possible.
Yeah, that would have been great.
You know what I just realized? All three of us hate the Gators.
Oh, can't stand them.
That's a good thing, though. That's a good thing. I feel like,
You got Tennessee, Georgia, and Florida State all hate the Gators. I didn't even realize that. That's funny.
That is a good one.
Oh, man.
So, I want to talk about one more thing here. I want to talk about Bama. I want to talk about the struggles they've had this year. I want to talk about these players' anxieties that Will Anderson is talking about that they're having, and just talk about that for a second.
Y'all are going to get tired of me going back and referencing the Tennessee Vols Alabama game. But you know what? Get over it, because I'm going to keep talking about it, because I am so happy we won that game. One of the greatest games.
Soak it in.
Okay, so I am. I was 3 years old last time they did it, so I'll tell you what, I'm soaking it in.
It's a long time to wait.
But I will say this style of Alabama is light years different than the national championship teams in, say, 2017 or 2015 they won it to. Those teams were a lot of defense, a whole lot of defense, and a lot of running the football. Like, for instance, 2015 they had Jake Coker. He really was not that great of a quarterback. He just kind of fed it to Derrick Henry and relied on their defense to win a long game. And now they're looking more like a good Oklahoma team. Great quarterback, bad secondary, high-scoring games, plenty of issues that can be exploitable. And one of the main things that I think was the difference in the Tennessee game is almost every Alabama game that's close, say Texas A&M, Tennessee, there is a play in that game where the Tide can completely swing the momentum and just suffocate the other team, just take all their hopes out of them, and then you're like, okay, Bama's going to win again.
Yeah.
For this Tennessee game, it was, I believe, the beginning of the fourth quarter, maybe midway through the fourth quarter. Tennessee fumbled. Hendon Hooker fumbled on an RPO misread, and our running back Jabari Small didn't even know it. He just went to go block, and the ball gets scooped up and just walked into the end zone, and that gives them the lead in the fourth quarter. And the energy is just out of the stadium. You would think out of the team, and then Bama, and that's the part where Bama just piles it on like they did last year to the Vols. That's kind of what happened. But this year they weren't able to do that. The team, Tennessee, came right back and threw it to Jalen Hyatt, punched him in the mouth, and they get right back in the game.
Yeah.
So this style of Alabama is different, and not for, if you're an Alabama fan, not in a good way. We'll see how they turn out the rest of the season. They still have plenty to play for sure, but they control their own destiny. So we'll see what they do. They got a big game at LSU in 2 weeks.
I mean, without a doubt. I mean, we all know end all be all, Alabama's going to be one of the top teams in the country.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
Right now, they're not playing like it. I don't care. I get they won by 30 against Mississippi State. I really do not care. They looked like dog crap in the first quarter, if not the whole first half. It was pathetic, the product they put on the field.
Yeah.
I mean, they couldn't get anything going on offense. They just couldn't do anything. Their defense played great the first half, but their defense played great the whole game. So,
and they're having a little bit, not obviously nowhere near as bad as Texas A&M, but they're having a little bit of issues getting their 5-star guys to make plays. For example, I'm thinking of Will Anderson. A lot of people wanted to label him as the best player in the country before the season. I didn't even see him during the Tennessee game. I mean, I'm sure obviously he played, but he didn't make an impact.
Well, I'm sure that's because teams know who he is now. They know he's one of the top players in the country, and they're doing everything they can do to stop him. You know.
Yeah, I agree. I think you just got to look at too. There's been so much just shift in just different teams this year that's just been kind of crazy. Just to look at like how everything's been. Bama's struggling. I mean, look at Georgia's struggles. I mean, if we're just talking about teams struggling for a second, I mean, Georgia has struggled. Clemson has struggled. Clemson has struggled, in my opinion, I mean, tremendously. I mean, we see what they had to do. They had to pull their starting quarterback just to get a win against Syracuse.
Speaking of that, did you see Klubnik's speech on that?
I did not.
On DJ?
No.
Well, scrolling through the internet the other night and came across a video, and it's him talking about how he's a true freshman. After he went in the game, he went up to DJ and was like, DJ, this is still your team. Just because you have a bad game doesn't mean this isn't your team. I fully expect you to start the rest of the season. And I just think that shows a lot about the culture they have over there at Clemson. As much as I can't stand the team.
Yeah.
The culture over there is something to be proud of that Dabo's built, and the things that they keep doing year in and year out. Even though last year they had a down year, but I mean, still, they're a top program in the country, no doubt.
I think you see that a lot in good teams. I'm thinking of Alabama the year they had Tua and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
If the culture is good and it's a winning culture, you're going to see a lot of like quarterback battles where they don't just transfer as soon as they don't get the starting job. Obviously, Jalen Hurts ended up going to Oklahoma, but he paid his dues at Alabama.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For sure, he stuck around. Tennessee this season has done a similar thing. Last year, Joe Milton had the starting job, and then he got hurt. Hendon Hooker took over, and the team hasn't looked the same since. And Joe Milton stuck around, even though he could transfer and be a starter at a lot of places.
Let's say the same thing with Carson Beck at Georgia. The kid's a really good football player. He sat there for what? This is year 3.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean,
of course, it's Georgia. He still gets in the game because they blow everybody out for the most part in the second half.
Yeah, I like Carson Beck. I like him as the backup. I think if you want a backup quarterback, I think he's the kind of guy that you want there. I feel like he knows that playbook well. I've seen him just
I would hope so. He's been there for 3
years. Yeah, I mean, he makes some difficult throws. He can make the throw that he needs to, and he can also use his legs. You know, I mean, that's always a threat. He can hurt you with his legs, and that's in college football right now. That's kind of what everybody's doing. Stetson Bennett, he may not be the biggest guy, and he may not be able to chuck it 80 yards down the field, but he can pull it on an RPO.
He showed his legs in that Vandy game.
He did.
Yeah, he did.
He took it like 65 yards down the field, and I mean, he looked quick.
Oh, he did.
He looked quick. I'm telling you, those guys that were behind him, they had no chance. There was no chance.
For sure.
I think there's something I want to talk about too is the Heisman coming into week number 9 here.
Speaking of Stetson.
We're seeing some more emerging. If we go from week 1 to where we are right now, there's some people that are emerging as some, team or players that we didn't think we'd see. Bo Nix, being one of those. I mean, we see what happened with Bo Nix against the Georgia game, and I tell you, his last 7 games that he has had, he has been absolutely tremendous. The man through 7 games is throwing 71% right now. He's got 17 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions, and he's almost rushed for 400 yards himself, and that's 8 touchdowns to go along with that. And now his Heisman. He's entered the Heisman chat.
He sure has.
Hendon Hooker, obviously, in my opinion, right now, I would put him as my number 1.
He's played better teams. He showed out. He'd probably win the Heisman if the season ended today.
Yeah, touchdown turnover ratio is just phenomenal. And it was last year, too, I believe. I believe it was good last year.
He threw about 3 last year, and he threw his first one against Alabama this last game.
Should have been 2.
Yeah, it should have been.
No,
controversial.
Not PR.
Yes, it was.
No, it was not.
That was pass interference. Defender had his left arm on him.
That's why
the guy should have. Yeah, the flag came out a little late.
Okay, listen. Flag was thrown very late. It was a flag. It was a penalty. It was an unorthodox way to call the penalty, but it was a penalty, and I'm glad they called it. So
unorthodox to say the least. I feel like there's a few things that just hurt Alabama. Other than that, in that game.
Oh yeah,
but
I mean
we could go on a list.
Let's talk about CJ in the Heisman race.
Yeah,
CJ. In my opinion, I think he should be the number 1 overall pick coming into this year's draft. A lot of people feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
I get the guy hasn't really played anybody. I mean, they got the first big test this weekend, probably in
Penn State.
Penn State.
Happy Valley.
It's going to be an interesting game. I think you would think, Penn State, they're known for their whiteout games. They're known for that place getting absolutely crazy and getting rocking and just getting those fans energetic and getting them into it. But, man, it's a noon kickoff. And, me as a college football fan, I wish they would make those illegal. I think noon kickoffs are the worst.
The Big Ten and Fox have got to get rid of it.
I think noon kickoffs.
You got 2 top 15 teams playing at noon. In the biggest game in your conference.
Fox Big Noon is the worst idea ever.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about, but go back to what you said. I mean, that right there, Penn State is at home, and they got Ohio State. And honestly, I don't think Penn State has a chance. I don't see any way that Penn State can keep up with that high-scoring offense. I just don't think there's any chance of that.
We'll get to our picks later, but I think Penn State has a shot. I'm not counting them out. C.J. Stroud really hasn't faced great competition. Now, listen, I know Iowa has a great defense, top 15, I believe, in the nation, and they made light work of them last week. But Ohio State wasn't driving the ball up and down the field that week. Spencer Petras is one of the worst quarterbacks in college football.
Yeah,
he was giving Ohio State the ball on Iowa's own 25, and then light work for C.J. Stroud. So
yeah.
I think we'll see a little bit more just how to feel about C.J. Stroud for this season. Right now, he's got just over 2,000 yards on the season, 28-4 total touchdowns to interceptions. So he's definitely very, very, very good. And I do agree he should be the first or close to first in this year's draft. So we'll see how that goes. But I am excited about that Ohio State game.
And I think you're seeing a big emerging player kind of coming in with Blake Corum at Michigan. I don't know what he is now. I believe I don't know what he is. What is he, like, plus 1,500?
Right now, according to DraftKings, they got Corum at plus 1,400, which is tied for third.
Yeah, so, I mean, you look at him. He's having some really good games. I mean, he's rushing the ball like a horse. I mean, he is just – you can't bring him down.
He absolutely gashed Penn State's defense.
Yeah, he did. And I feel like that was a knockout punch, too, just knowing that you're handing the ball to somebody like him. I think that's just within itself very hard to stand. Because then, J.J. McCarthy also isn't the worst. Like, he's not a terrible quarterback by any means.
No.
And, you got to worry about him throwing the ball as well. So – that's the Heisman odds. They're going to come down to. I think we still got a lot of football left to see. A lot of people have room to make mistakes. A lot of people have room to make their stats look really good. So
who's going to have the Heisman moment? That's the question.
Yeah,
I think there's 2 games that are going to decide who wins the Heisman.
Yeah.
I think one is Tennessee versus Georgia in 2 weeks, and I think the other is Ohio State versus Michigan rivalry week, end of the season.
And you know what's crazy? We're not even talking about the defending Heisman winner right now. That's
Bryce
just how
Young.
crazy
that's
and how great Hendon Hooker's been playing. And
him getting hurt. I feel like had a big impact on that.
Oh
'cause,
yeah.
You know,
he only missed a game though.
Yeah.
He missed one game, and don't get me wrong, he played incredible against Tennessee.
Yeah.
And still, he just couldn't quite keep up the pace with Hooker. But he threw for about 450 yards, used his legs when he needed to. He threw some tight throws in good coverage. So we'll see what happens with that. But I was very impressed with Bryce Young in that game, and I think he will continue to impress. And he definitely still has his path to the repeat Heisman. So we can't count him out for sure. But a lot of football left to figure out who wins that trophy.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you said, it's just, and I previously said, there's just so much football left. So I think we'll see what happens down the stretch here. I really like where college football is at right now in general. I just want to move on to and talk about college game day. Especially where they're going this week, but more than just where they're going, just the kind of energy that those guys bring every single week to college football. Those guys, can you imagine the amount of traveling they do on a week-to-week basis? How they don't get in severe jet lag is unreal to me. And if they do a phenomenal job of showing it, and their makeup artists must be phenomenal.
Well, you have a couple of those guys like Kirk Herbstreit. He'll be there at 9 in the morning on the East Coast somewhere.
And then he's calling a football game.
And then he's calling a football game thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
So, the amount of work they put in and the quality of the show is just unmatched. And I'm glad we get to have all of them and Corso, hopefully, as long as we can, his career maybe coming to an end. Maybe coming to an end.
But I think they've done a great job, and I think you guys would agree, bringing in the man, the myth, the legend, old Pat. Pat McAfee is just he brings so much life to that set and those people. And what he did at Tennessee.
I think they sang Rocky Top about 16 times.
He loves singing Rocky
the backflip may not have been the most perfect thing in the world, but man, if it didn't get those Vols fans fired up, and that's what it's about. That's what we see.
It wasn't warm up there that weekend.
No,
that water was cold.
Tennessee River was cold.
And he played it off like a champion. And then I think it was 15 minutes later, he was back on set with his hair looking
not
amazing.
Even that. It was like one commercial break.
Yeah, one commercial. These guys, they're makeup artists, they're stylists. Come on.
We could use them.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, goodness.
It's crazy. But just the game of college football right now and college game day and all these different things that are going on. I love college game day, what they do. I really do. Like I said, I think it – and what they're doing this week, I think just shows how great they are. They're taking it to Jackson State for that massive rival between Jackson State and Southern. And I think that's just great for college game day. I think that's great for both of those programs. I think it's good to get them on a big stage like that.
Yeah, you'll get Jackson State and Deion Sanders even some more exposure. They're undefeated right now, hosting Southern. So
well, actually, they have one loss.
Do they?
I believe so. If I remember correctly, I think Jackson State did drop a game in the beginning stages of the year.
While you're checking that, one thing to remember is the last time College Game Day hosted.
They're undefeated.
So they are undefeated.
I think Southern is undefeated as well.
Maybe I was wrong.
I think Southern might have 2 losses.
Southern has 1 loss.
Okay.
So it was Southern who had 1 loss.
You're right. They have 2 losses. They have 2 losses. Southern has 2.
Southern has 2? Okay.
Southern is 5-2 with 1 conference loss. Jackson State is undefeated.
7-0.
Jackson State actually did. Wait, no, I'm looking.
You are blind, son.
I'm looking at the wrong thing. You're right.
But we're talking about Jackson State, and I'm going to get fired up, and I'm going to go on a little rant here for a second.
Let's hear it. I think I know where this is going. And
let's talk about Travis Hunter real quick, okay? Whether the man got paid or not, he did.
Is yours still working? No. What happened? They both died?
Yeah, they did. Mine's back on, so we're good. You got it. You're probably gonna have to plug it back in.
Sorry. Let's talk about Jackson State, okay? Travis Hunter, he does the Knowles completely dirty. He's committed for over a year solid as a commit as you can be, Then he starts sneaking around a little bit, goes to Jackson State's homecoming, tells people, oh, it's out of respect for Dion and everything that he's done for Florida State. And then it comes to signing day. Travis is supposed to open up the day and sign his letter of intent at 8 a.m. Starts ignoring phone calls from Mike Norvell at Florida State. People in Tallahassee start freaking out. And the next thing we know, he's bringing out his Jackson State jumpsuit and just throwing the Knoll hat on the ground, disrespecting it. I mean, it's out of control what's going on over there at Collins Hill, and nobody knows what's going on.
I'm not sure I've ever seen a more crazy moment on
a
signing
day. Yeah, or a signing day. Yeah, that was crazy.
But you got to give credit to Dion. He got the kid to come. He got 4-star receiver Kevin Coleman out of South Florida to come as well. I mean, they're lighting up the scoreboard.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what they do in this game, big game, and College Game Day will be there to see it. And remember what happened last time College Game Day was at a non-Power 5 matchup. We had Appy State on a Hail Mary.
Playing Troy.
Troy, what a game.
What a game that was. Talk about a last second. I mean, we all remember the video of the girls just watching the game, and everybody's like,
oh, my goodness, that was ridiculous.
And then all of a sudden it's just dead silent. Reminds me of a couple videos I saw of some Alabama fans after that Tennessee game.
Yeah.
That's neither here or there.
Yep. Yeah, I'm excited about that game. We got a lot of good games coming up.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good week of college football. I don't know how much craziness we're going to see this week. There's some good games on, but I think it's going to be a lot of straightforward football. I think some of these picks, everybody will kind of see that they're just very normal picks. They're not going to be anything crazy, but we do have a segment or a thing that we do that we're going to call Hot Takes. All of us have a hot take or hot pick of the week of a game that we think could be crazy or something that could end up pretty not normal. Mm-hmm. Something that we don't like or that could shake up the whole college football committee and everything. So I think we're going to get into some picks here and talk about what we think those games could turn out like. And the first one that I have on my list is one that we've already talked about a little bit, which is Ohio State versus Penn State.
I mentioned this a little bit before when we were talking about the rankings and the legitimacy of Ohio State. C.J. Stroud, don't get me wrong, he's definitely one of the best quarterbacks in the country, if not the best. And I think it'll be a tough environment for him. He hasn't seen a whole lot. He hasn't had a lot of high pressure situations this year. I think he will have a bit of one this year. Would you say the spread was 16.5?
It's 15.5.
15.5. I'm taking Penn State on the points. I don't think Ohio State wins quite by 2 possessions. I do like them to win the game, but I don't think they're just going to walk away with it. I think they're going to go into Death Valley, get a gutsy win, a big win, a conference win on the road, ranked opponent, something to really something that C.J. Stroud could put under his belt and onto his resume. I like Ohio State to win the game, but I do think it will be a good game, and I think I'll be tuning into that one on Fox Big Noon. Big Noon.
Yeah, Big Noon.
Big Noon on Fox. Gotta love it.
I think that still should be illegal.
Yeah.
But it is minus 15.5. I'm going to have to disagree with Reese a little bit. I think we may see a little bit of a game in the very beginning. I mean, that place is obviously going to be fired up. But with C.J. Stroud, with how quick they can score and how powerful that offense is, I think it could be something that we see change really quick. A bunch of people cheering to getting real quiet real quick. I mean, who wants to play at noon anyways? So minus 15.5, I'm going to have to take I think they'll cover pretty easy. And over 61 with how Ohio State is and how quick that offense scores, I'm going to have to take the over as well on that. So I got Ohio State winning in pretty handed fashion.
Now, this isn't my hot take. And, guys, I'm not taking Penn State this football game. I'm not taking them to cover. My bold take for this game is the stadium might be half empty by halftime.
Yeah.
Ohio State is going to run them off the football field, and James Franklin might not come out of the total in the second half.
Yeah. I think, I have to agree with you on that one, Tanner. I just don't see how much life Penn State's really going to have coming off getting absolutely clapped by Michigan too.
They did bounce back against.
They did. They
last
did.
week.
They showed a little bit of life, but I mean, I just don't, think it was enough, and I don't think they'll have enough life here this week.
Yeah, I disagree. For just I mentioned a couple of reasons. They obviously looked bad against Michigan. I think that can be a good thing for them. They can see where they messed up, and I know Michigan and Ohio State have different schemes as far as offense. There, Michigan's going to rely on Blake Corum a lot. C.J. Stroud is going to air it out for Ohio State. But I think they can learn a lot from the Michigan game. They were able to display some of that last week against Minnesota at home. So I think they will play a good game.
Yeah.
But I do like Ohio State to win, and we'll just have to see what happens.
Well, next game I got on here is Kentucky versus number 3 Tennessee
In Knoxville.
in Knoxville. Sold out.
7 p.m. It's been sold out for about 2 months.
Yeah.
They're bringing out the black uniforms for Halloween weekend, man, and they look good.
I did see a picture.
They do look nice.
I have to admit,
They look great.
I hate to admit it, but they do look great.
So they wore them last year with the white helmets. This is the first time they've ever worn black helmets in school history. And, man, I don't think you could bring them out at a better time. I think the fans have been wanting a blackout versus Kentucky for a long time. That place is going to be rocking. We saw one of the loudest games ever against Alabama. It's not. I don't think it's going to be anywhere.
There was a
able to match
legitimate
that.
earthquake.
Yes, they literally made an earthquake.
It spiked from what I read.
So I mean, I personally don't see how Kentucky is able to keep up with the pace of Hendon Hooker in this game. I mean, right now Tennessee, they are 121st out of 131 football teams in time of possession. They hardly ever have the ball because they score so fast. They have guys like Hendon Hooker, Jalen Hyatt, Ramel Keaton. Cedric Tillman might be healthy for this game. They're just going and scoring fast. And despite being that low in time of possession, they lead the nation in yards per game and points per game at 50.1 points per game. And that's a lot. And that's why I think Tennessee, I'm really confident about this game if I'm a Tennessee fan, which I am. I think that they're going to cover. The line is 12.5, I believe.
Yeah, it's 12.5.
12.5. I think they're going to cover. I think they might win by 3 touchdowns. I think it'll be a high-scoring game. This will be a good game for Will Levis to see what he's really capable of. He's had a couple off weeks. A lot of guys before the season and some still now are predicting him to be drafted pretty high. He's got a lot of things you want in a pro quarterback.
Yeah, he's got that NFL build. He's
Yeah.
got that look that everybody wants to have.
Yeah, for sure.
For an NFL guy.
And he looked terrific in the Tennessee-Kentucky game last year.
Yeah.
They came up just short, 45-42 at home. So we'll see what he does this year. But he's got a much better Tennessee team, I think, this time. But, I mean, we may get into this some. Tennessee's secondary at times has definitely looked they've been exposed. They've been exposed very much. So we'll see. This could be a game where Will Levis could definitely have a breakout game.
Yeah.
If he does, maybe they keep it within 10 because I think Tennessee is going to put up 50.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just hard to bet against Tennessee right now.
I agree with that, and like I said, I'll kind of keep it short and sweet to that point. I think Tennessee wins pretty handily. I think that place is going to be rocking in the beginning. I think it's a night game. I mean, it's a night game. 7 o'clock. You're wearing all black. I mean, fans are going to be rocking. Neyland Stadium is going to be sold out. I mean, it's just one of those situations that it doesn't feel good, I'm sure, going in there as a Kentucky player or fan.
Nope.
But, I think Tennessee wins pretty handily. A 2-3 possession game. I think they cover by a lot, and I think that's going to be it.
Here we go.
Here we go. There's a lot of factors that I'm going to go through right here, okay? Number one, I love Mark Stoops. I love the guy.
He's a good coach.
Florida State guy. Great defensive mind. Let's not forget about that. Kentucky, I get it. Tennessee, the game's at 7 o'clock in Knoxville. Everybody's going to be fired up. They're wearing the all-black uniforms with the black helmets.
You can't say that doesn't make some of the difference.
It looks great. Don't get me wrong.
I'm going to have to agree.
What?
Last time Georgia tried black stuff.
But guess what?
With
guess
uniforms.
who Tennessee plays November 5th, which is next week?
Georgia.
They play the Georgia Bulldogs.
Number 1 team in the
big, mighty, bad Georgia Bulldogs.
Defending national champions.
The defending national champions. And I think Kentucky's tired of hearing about Tennessee fans disrespecting the Wildcats and how they're just going to mow on by them and go into Athens, ready on November the 5th without taking a second look at the Wildcats.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, I know, Knoxville's different. It's a lot, 100,000 people plus. Let's not forget, Kentucky went down to Gainesville.
Took it
And
to
they
Richardson.
beat the Gators.
They did. I hate the
They
Gators.
did.
They beat the Gators in the swamp. And you know what? My hot take right here. It's not that Kentucky's going to cover. It's not even that Kentucky's going to win the football game. Kentucky's going to win the football game by double digits.
That may be the hottest take I've heard all year.
I've definitely not heard a hotter take this year. By double digits. You think Will Levis is going to put up more points than Hendon Hooker by double digits?
Will Levis is going to throw for over 400 yards and 6 touchdowns against that pitiful Tennessee defense in Neyland Stadium.
No, they're not.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be an interesting weekend.
They won't be storming the field and singing Rocky Top this week.
I don't think so. I think that would be an absolute... That would be an absolute phenomenal win for that program. Can you imagine Kentucky knocking off number 3 Tennessee?
Keep talking for just a second. I gotta counter this. You
can counter all you want, Mr. Blackiston, but facts are facts.
Look,
and you're going to bring some more
This is a trap game if you think about it.
Oh, no, okay.
They're thinking about the Georgia Bulldogs.
In certain aspects of this game, you got to think. You are looking to play the number 1 team in the land. And I think Georgia has the same problem. I think Georgia could be looking at Florida as a trap game.
Oh, we'll get to the Bulldogs in a second.
We'll get there in a second. Listen, Kentucky, Will Levis has not had a breakout game yet. I already said the secondary for Tennessee is giving him a great opportunity to look good. 6 touchdowns on the road. It's going to be 110 decibels the whole time.
Reese, I do not care how loud it is. He's played in the swamp.
The swamp
is a tough place to play, man.
The swamp is nothing.
Kentucky to Gainesville, you know how far that is? That's a tough place to go play.
No.
And I get it. I get it. There's 108,000 or whatever that stupid stadium holds. Okay? They're not going to win this football game. I'm telling you, Kentucky's going to win this football game.
They went on the road to South Carolina and lost by 10. They're not going to go
Will Levis didn't even play in the football game.
That is a good point. But
Kentucky's backup quarterback might as well be me.
Just for the
and I'm
sake,
5'9".
Just for the sake of us getting on and getting some more picks in here, before you
I gotta watch this game with you.
I'll be in Condo 9. You come on over.
I will come and we will watch it.
Next game we got up on the list, we got number 9 Oklahoma State versus number 22 Kansas State, and Kansas State is favored by 1.5, and it is home. I don't know how I feel about this game. I'm actually going to go on a limb here, and I'm going to say I'm taking Oklahoma State. I like Oklahoma State. I think KSU. I think a lot of it depends on if Adrian Martinez plays. I think if Adrian Martinez plays, I think we could see some fireworks. I think we could see that happen.
Yeah, but if he does play, how healthy is he going to be?
How much is he really going to impact this team out there really this weekend? I like Oklahoma State in this one, and I think I like it pretty. I think 10 or more points, I think they win this one.
That's not a bad take. Kansas State is coming off of a tough loss to TCU. They had an early lead in that game. They were really controlling the game for the first half for sure. And then TCU kind of turned it on to keep that 7-0 record alive. And Oklahoma State, they're 6-1. They're looking pretty good. Right now, the Big 12 is really anyone's. It's up for grabs. So we'll see who can do that, and this is a big game to figure that out. I like Kansas State. I like Adrian Martinez. I like what he's been able to do at Kansas State. I think he looks great. I think I'm going to take Oklahoma State to win. I don't think Kansas State is prepared completely for this game. And for Oklahoma State, I think they're going to take it to them, and I think I'm taking Oklahoma State to win the game.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma State needs this game too because it's at TCU or it's at Kansas State. So that would just be a really good road win. I feel like.
You know, I've sat here all week, and I've said Oklahoma State's going to win this football game by double digits all week, and I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm sitting here right now looking at some Kansas State versus Oklahoma State stuff, and what the heck? The game's at Kansas State. Tough loss last week. They're going to come out ready to play some football.
Tough pick.
I'm taking Kansas State.
Taking Kansas State.
We got Kansas State.
Adrian Martinez.
Nothing to back it up.
Nothing to back that. We're just going outright.
Outright
Outright Kansas State.
You know,
I
I feel
like
like
Martinez. I think that he could really have a great game. I personally do. It would not surprise me if Kansas State wins the game. Not a bad take.
Not a bad take.
Not
at all.
nearly as bad as you were a few minutes ago.
that's going to happen.
I'll tell you right
It's not
now,
happening.
if you're right on that, that's yeah. I
don't know.
If I'm right on that, we might
work
get a
it.
special episode in Saturday night.
Next game.
We might get some exclusive.
Yeah.
exclusive.
You might see something you don't want to see.
Next game I'm going to talk about is Missouri, South Carolina. It's -4 to South Carolina.
I'll go first here.
I'm taking South Carolina.
Give
I don't
me-
like
give me-
Shane Beamer, but I'm
Give
taking
me the
South Carolina.
Cox.
Yeah, I'm giving it to the Cox. Quick, short and sweet.
It's at South Carolina.
It's at South Carolina.
Yeah,
Toughest place.
I got to go with South Carolina. Missouri's coming off an emotional win against Vanderbilt.
That's sad. See, emotional win against Vanderbilt.
Yeah. South Carolina's riding high, which could play a factor in this game. I do think it will be an ugly game. I think it's going to be an ugly game, similar to, Missouri just had an ugly game. Honestly, South Carolina did not have a pretty game against A&M either.
It's probably like a 17-13 game.
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah, I do think it'll be a close game. I do like South Carolina to win the game. I don't know how I feel about the spread -4.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be close.
I think it's going to be almost right on that line.
Yeah, I really like that betting line.
It could be right around there.
So
I'm gonna take South Carolina to cover though.
Yeah.
I like -4. I think it still be close. I think they'll cover -4.
Yeah,
I don't think they win by 3. I think they win by a touchdown or maybe even 10. But I like South Carolina.
yeah, tell you what, those fans are loving Beamer ball.
Oh,
Go
man,
Cox,
let me
man.
tell you. We may not like them, but South
Hey,
Carolina, they actually have something
What
to live for.
environment to have to go into, though, too.
Oh, yeah.
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 So, South Carolina across the board. Next picks are Georgia versus Florida. I'm going to keep it short and sweet here because, honestly, it's Georgia, Florida. It's hate week. We know how that is. It can get rowdy.
I hate the Gators.
I hate the Gators, too. Sorry, Josh Merritt, if you hear this. But, yeah, the Gators they stink.
They
They're
stink.
just not good. But I like #1 Georgia. I don't like Georgia to cover, though. I don't like the 22.5. They haven't shown me enough as a fan to choose them. In a game like that, we've had a lot of close calls this year, and we just haven't covered against teams like Kent State or even Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like the 22.5 there, but I like the Dogs to win. I like them to win maybe by 21 because that sounds like something Georgia would do. But
tough beat. Bad
yeah,
beat.
I like Georgia.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Dogs. I don't like that line at all.
Yeah,
I'm probably going to take Florida to cover, I guess, as much sad as it is. That's 22.5, but
yeah,
I think it's a 17-point game. Georgia wins. I think it gets out of hand early in the third. Florida's just not ready to play a team like that yet, and I get it. They held their own in Rocky Top.
yeah, they did.
But things have spiraled downhill since then, and it's just
Hard for Billy Napier.
sad things to see going on in Gainesville. But,
Yeah, Billy Napier's working with a tough one over there.
Yeah, he's really trying to build that program from the ground up right now.
Yeah, he is.
And this would be oh my goodness, this would be such a huge win for Billy Napier.
Oh my goodness,
signature win.
Oh yeah, career altering.
It would keep him there for at least 4 more years.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Florida's really playing for nothing. Like they got nothing to lose. And Georgia, if we're like, they still have an East game to lose. If they lose this game and they beat Tennessee next week, they're still in control of the SEC East. I like Anthony Richardson personally. I think that he has shown signs of greatness. I mean, we maybe haven't seen a quicker Heisman campaign than Anthony Richardson's this year.
Yeah.
But he's definitely shined in certain situations, in high pressure situations. I'm thinking of the Tennessee game. I was there personally. It was loud. It was full. It was screaming the whole time. And he had a career game. I mean, it's Tennessee's secondary. Let's be real. It's not a whole lot to brag about, but I think that he has a good game. Georgia's secondary has been questionable at times.
Yeah.
I don't like the betting line either. I think Florida comes out of this game winning by maybe 14 or 17.
Florida winning.
Did I say Florida? I meant Georgia. I meant
Wow. You wanted to call my take hot. Okay.
Hot takes. Okay.
That's not my hot take. I got Georgia winning by 14 or 17, but I think Anthony Richardson will have a good game. I think it'll be like a 45, 30, 32 type of game.
Gosh, I hope not. That looks terrible in Georgia's defense. But next picks: Ole Miss versus Texas A&M.
I'll start us off again. A&M's going to win the football game. Ole Miss just looked absolutely pathetic against LSU. The game's in Aggieland, right? I mean,
it's at Texas A&M. But Ole Miss is favored by 2.5.
I really don't care.
I'm gonna have to agree with you there. I don't think that
A&M's gonna win the football game. Plain and simple. It's just. I don't even know what to say about that. It's going to be an ugly football game, but yeah.
That's going to be my hot take of the week. I don't know how hot of a take it really is. It is, since Ole Miss is favored, that's why it's my hot take. But I like the Aggies to bounce back here. I think they need this. I think Jimbo needs this severely. But yeah, I like Texas A&M.
I like Texas A&M as long as all their players aren't smoking weed in the locker room before the game. So,
yeah, that's true too.
Things are happening in Aggieland.
Something's happening in that locker room. We've talked about what really they need to be successful because they have the players, they have the facilities.
Yeah.
What's missing? I do think that they do. I agree with both of you guys. It's kind of a broken record at this point, but I do think that A&M will get the bounce back win at home this week. I think it'll be a great environment. A&M fans are rowdy. The 12th man will be loud. So I think I like Zach Evans for Ole Miss a lot. I think he's a great running back, and Jackson Dart has shown signs. He's shined at times.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they're going to get their plan together after that beatdown LSU gave them at home.
Yeah.
LSU is now in contention for the West, and none of us ever thought that was going to happen when they got destroyed by Tennessee at home.
Yeah.
So a lot of things shaking up in college football right now, which something we didn't mention earlier was when we were talking about the rankings is how much parity there is in college football this season. Any team could beat anyone on any given day, which is why when I'm making these picks, I'm not surprised if any pick really goes either way.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of upsets. There's been a lot of great games, and I'm excited for this week, and I'm excited for next week for sure.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. A&M kind of across the board. Next game we got Florida State versus Georgia Tech at plus 23.5 to Florida State.
I'll start this one. I'll give the Noel fan a little time to process this one. I think Florida State wins. I think this is a great opportunity for them to get back on the right track. They started off terrific 4-0. They were looking good. Things were looking up down in the Seminole land, but I think that Georgia Tech is a great team for Florida State to get back on the winning track. I do think that they are going to cover the spread. It's a big spread, to be honest. And Georgia Tech has looked good at times. They beat Pitt on the road, so you can't take away a lot from Georgia Tech. And we'll see what happens. But I do like Florida State to cover in this game.
I'll be honest. I don't like Florida State to cover. I think Florida State wins the football game. I think Florida State wins it by 17, maybe even 21, 20, 14, somewhere within the lines of them not covering. I like Florida State to win the football game, but I do not think they're going to cover. Like you said, Georgia Tech, ever since they've gotten rid of their prior head coach, they've been playing pretty good football, or decent football at times. So I'm going to take Florida State outright, but I don't think they'll cover.
7 years ago, about 2 days ago? Yeah. One of the worst things ever happened to Florida State football. And that was Georgia Tech blocking the kick and running it back and making us look like absolute fools at Bobby Dodd.
That hurt.
I bet you remember where you were.
I do. I was on my living room couch. They blocked the kick. I went downstairs. I cried. I'm getting phone calls all over the place. But that's besides the point.
Nothing but respect.
No, yeah,
Nothing
hey,
but
gotta
yeah,
love
I'll
a
admit it.
passionate fan.
I don't give a crap. But Florida State's going to win the football game this week. They're going to cover. Jordan Travis is going to have a big week. We got Trayshawn Ward is still going to be out, but it's going to be okay. I
thought y'all had some guys coming back this week.
Yeah, I mean, we got Jared Verse coming back fully healthy. He's been kind of down the last 2 weeks, playing more third downs things. I don't think Georgia Tech can score. I really don't.
Yeah, that could be a problem.
I mean, Johnny Wilson's 6'7" with a 7-foot wingspan on the outside as well at receiver. We got Micah Pittman, who's just an unbelievable athlete. Florida State's going to win the game. They're going to cover.
You think they cover?
I think they cover. Georgia Tech lost to freaking Virginia, who's one of the worst teams I've ever watched last week. And I get it. They beat Pitt on the road, and Pitt's a good football team.
Yeah.
They gave Tennessee everything that they wanted and some.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
But
definitely did.
it's not going to be close, I don't think.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very weary against the Noles usually because I've seen the heartbreak and everything.
Yeah.
But they're going to win the football. I'm done.
Yeah.
They're going to win.
No, you're all good. Trust me. Love a good, passionate fan. But next game we got is the game of the week, and it is where College Game Day is heading. And it is Jackson State versus Southern. We have a -1.5 to Jackson State, I believe. To Southern. -1.5 to Southern. Jackson State is home.
It's homecoming.
It's homecoming for Jackson State. I'll start this one off. I think it's a great place for them to be. Like I said before, I think this is great for both of those programs. Great for Dion and, all those
Dion
and all those guys getting this exposure. I think it's great. I like Jackson State. Homecoming, Deion Sanders is going to have those guys absolutely fired up against Southern.
You can count on that with Deion Sanders.
Yeah, and I really do. I like Jackson State in a good game, but I got Jackson State.
I'm taking Jackson State as well. I don't like the spread, to be honest. I think they're going to stay undefeated. I don't think Southern has quite what it takes, and we'll see maybe Travis Hunter get in the game, make some impact plays.
Yes.
I think this will keep Jackson State undefeated and continue building Deion Sanders' stock for a potential Power 5 job.
He's definitely a contender with some spots opening up. You see around the world. Or
Nebraska, Georgia Tech.
Nebraska.
Like
he goes to Georgia Tech. Maybe he could bring some recruits with him. And shake up things in the ACC. Nebraska, maybe revive them. We'll see. I mean, they've been flatlining for who knows how long. I don't know what it's going to take.
Feels like
Scott
forever,
Frost was that was tough for that program.
Yeah.
I think everybody thought Scott Frost was going to do amazing things, and that's how the dice roll sometimes. As much as we don't like it, so you like Jackson State. I'm taking Jackson State. Who you got?
I think it's awesome that game days going down there to the HBCU and giving them some love. As I said earlier, Jackson State got 4-star receiver Kevin Coleman. They've got 5-star two-way, #1 player in the country, Travis Hunter. They got the hype with Deion Sanders. They've got Deion's son playing quarterback with some amazing numbers back there.
Yeah.
Some think that he should get some Heisman love. I'm not going to take it that far. He does play against zero competition. I think Jackson State's going to win this football game by 17 points. It's just Jackson State's just.
Yeah, they got some guys. They definitely got some explosive guys.
It also just depends on whether those guys show up, but they're going to show up. I know Travis Hunter loves the spotlight, as we saw on National Signing Day.
Yeah,
he definitely got that spotlight.
Yeah,
I mean, we've seen him on SportsCenter and high school state championships making one-handed catches, toe tapping in the back of the end zone.
Yeah,
talking his trash. He's going to be on TV this week. He'll ball out, and he's the type of athlete that can just take over a game.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I like those picks. I think that's going to be it for this week. That's all of our picks. I hope you guys like what we're doing here. If we need to fix anything, let us know. We're more than welcome to hear everything. We want to make this the best we can for y'all, and we just like talking college football. We're just a bunch of college guys who enjoy talking about the competition and what's going on throughout the college football world. And you never know, we may talk about the World Series a little bit next week. Got the World Series. College.
You know what? Let's go ahead. We're not going to film until the series starts. Let's go ahead and make our picks for the series.
For the series, just outright. All right, just for the whole series, just real quick.
Just for who wins the World Series.
We'll throw it in right here. World Series. I'm going to take the Houston Astros.
Astros are hot.
I'm taking the Astros. They have not lost a game yet. And from what I hear, there's a guy out there somewhere who has placed a bet.
Mattress Mac,
that if he
Mattress
sweeps,
Mac is back.
$75
million if they sweep through the playoffs, and he is 4 wins away from life-altering money. And so I think we are in for a story. I think he's in for a tough week. I like the Astros.
I'm taking the Stros.
Astros across the board.
Phillies were hot. They got 5 days off. They're not a good baseball team. They're just hot. They got hot at the right time. They took down the Braves. They took down the Padres. They took down the Dodgers. The Stros got their pitching staff is unbelievable.
The Stros are going to win the football game. from a Vols fan. Your team can't get too hot at the wrong time. Vols baseball, in my opinion, the best team in baseball history. Cooled off at the worst time, threw away a natty. Should have had it. But you know what? It's fine. We're going to be back. We got Dollander back. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Phillies to win, though. I'm taking the Phillies. I saw a video after they clinched their spot of the owner of the Phillies going to Harper and saying, "What I paid you,
$330 million wasn't enough.
Wasn't enough."
Bull crap! You're making $330 million.
Yeah, you know,
years.
some of these contracts. But, you know, we'll try not to stray too far off topic, but I think everybody's got the Stros. Well, you got the Phillies?
I'm taking the Phillies.
We got to switch. We got the Phillies. Okay?
I'm taking the Phillies.
You're staying with the
The
Stros?
Stros are winning.
Yeah, I think so,
The
too.
Stros are winning.
Well, guys, I hope you like everything that we're doing. We talk about we got some pretty controversial picks every now and then.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're just a couple college guys, and we like talking about sports.
And we got a lot in the future for you. Next week we'll talk about the new playoff system. And hopefully we can get some special guests on here. So
yeah, we are in the works of
stay
something
tuned.
like that.
And we're still figuring things out. You know, we had some technical difficulties. Bear with us, but we're working to make it as good as we can for you guys. Like and subscribe. Everything helps. Be sure to comment what we can do to make it better.
Don't forget, the Cats are beating the Vols.
No, they're not. No, they're not. They will not. But we'll see. We'll see. If you want us to do anything on the show, comment some takes for us, and yeah, we'll do what we can. Thank you guys. It's been Southern Takes. I'm Reese Blackston, Bubba Joyner, Tanner Griffith. We'll see y'all later.
See y'all.
Chop.